We are live.
Yes.
Welcome to another beautiful Monday. It's noon. It's time to raise the vibration and share the positive. Today, my conversation is with Devanni Peters, who is a yoga lifestylist, and she will be sharing the truth will set you free. So before I introduce her, let me light the candle. Hopefully today without the aid of my fan above there pushing. It kept on. Last time I was doing it, every time I tried to light it, it was blowing the candle out. And I thought, I'm sure this isn't a sign from spirit. I'm sure this is just the schematics of where my fan is to where I record. So here's our candle lit. And We're all good to go there so that we're all blessed and prepared. So, and anybody that's watched the show before, they know that the first person on board gets to choose which card is going to be our affirmation of the day. So whoever's up first, put your name on the side stream there, and you get to pick which affirmation card. So I know we've got some people watching, so I'm hopeful somebody is going to come on board and let us know. Okay, which card? The I am vibrational or the I am sacred? Tick tock, tick tock. I don't want to be wasting time, because I know we've got an amazing, fun morning ahead of us, or afternoon. So whoever is on there first, just put your name up, or just type green or orange, simple. And then I will shuffle and get a card out. If not, I will make a decision for us. I do like it when somebody makes a decision.
Green.
The card they pick. Whichever deck they pick, it's usually the right one, and we get the right card up there. So I'm just going to count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Devanni, which deck?
The green.
Green. Okay.
Sacred, yeah.
I am sacred. Let's see which card we're going to get as our focus for today. One more. Oh, there's a card. It's shot out. Okay. Oh, I love it. I was going to say we're proud to pick up card number 24. I am sacred and unique, radiating outer vibrational beauty. How perfect is that? Especially with our conversation we're going to have. And there's always the correct card pulled. So let me formally introduce my guest, Devanni Peters. She has written a book, The Truth Will Set You Free, which is a fascinating autobiography about how she found the courage to leave her traditional Mennonite upbringing, which I didn't know, her home and her family, in order to find the truth. Devanni's incredible courage led her to a 5-year personal journey that changed her life forever. And I'm sure Devanni will share some of the many lessons she learned along the way, including the purpose of life, the truth about God and Jesus. And I said to you earlier, I could have a whole conversation about a whole hour. The value of meditation and breath work, yoga and the daily practices, the power of karma. Oh my gosh, that is so here and now at the moment. Freedom to follow your intuition, knowing that all the answers are within. Devanni explains that her education did not come easily. She attended workshops, read constantly, and spent long periods time within the disciplined walls of exclusive ashrams to learn the importance of structure, maintaining daily practices, observing with silence, and adhering to strict rules. During this exotic journey, Devanni discovered how to love deeply, how to stay balanced, how to use her intuition, how to live with truth, and how to develop her strong, unquestionable faith with God. Devanni was inspired and divinely guided to share her story, which I'm thankful of. I want to read the book. She wants to help others move forward to be authentic and true, to love themselves and feel honest joy. I'm sure before we finish today, she will let you know how and where to pick up her amazing book. So welcome, Devanni. I'm just tingling, so I'm sure today our conversation is going to be
a real honor.
Very vibrational.
I'm so honored and blessed to be here.
Oh.
And I'm a little bit nervous for being on. The interesting thing is I can't see who's on. I can just see me and you. And so I'm just going to kind of have a conversation. I think there is a chat on. There we go.
Hello, ladies.
I'm seeing.
Hello, ladies. God bless you. So we know we've got somebody on.
Nice.
As I said,
so somebody is on.
And sometimes people won't. So as I was saying before we came on, I didn't realize until you had shared about the Mennonite background that was your history, as it were. I've always known Devanni as this amazing lady that comes up with these wonderful recipes and the yoga and all this kind of stuff, because you live locally to me. You advertise in the directory that I publish locally here. So all of this is how we communicated and how we got to know each other in the first place. So please share your story.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know my whole story. When I tell women, and I'm actually here to mostly work with women, for them to live a free and empowered life. And I know not too many people know about my full story. And like I said, when I do tell women about my story, every single one of them is like, oh my God, you so inspire me. And when's the book coming out? How often did I hear that before I actually started writing? I knew I had a good story, but I was myself working on so much stuff, so much past stuff too. And I couldn't speak. I honestly couldn't speak about I am just now, especially over the last year, this has really opened up. And I believe I'm ready. I'm ready to tell my story, and I'm ready to tell my truth. And yeah, I did. I was born in Mexico to a Mennonite family. Yes. So we were Germans living in Mexico. I was 2 years old when our parents came to Canada, and we ended up in Leamington, where there was because there's a large community of the Mennonites. They sort of gathered together. Yes. Yeah, I was brought up. My dad became the minister when I was really young, in the beginning stages, probably when I was still a toddler. And so most of my life, I grew up in the churches and the Mennonites, and a very strict upbringing. And even when I started in the beginning it was like in my 30s. I was in my 30s, maybe 32, 33, when I first realized that I'm an energy body. I started hearing these different things, and it got me curious. And my very first book that I read was the Celestine Prophecies. Yes. And I couldn't believe how they were talking about this energy and how they could see this energy. And I'm like, I started exploring a whole new world. And what I did is I almost went like sort of underground with it. I didn't tell anybody in my community because I knew I was kind of treading on territory that they wouldn't agree on. Because in their eyes, it was like a new age world, and we had to be aware of the new age world. And my kids had now grown up. We even though the Mennonites were moving along, they were evolving very slowly. And we would leave the church, and we would go. And my dad created another church, but there wasn't a whole lot of change that had happened. It was just. Now I was exploring a whole new other world, and Deanna Leland was coming into town once a year, and she'd have these breath works. And I was so fascinated by these breath works. I'd be doing these breath works, and I'm telling you, the way my body felt, I started realizing, oh my God, I could feel all this energy rushing through my body. Right. And once I had this awakening with the breath, that's when spirit started to guide me. I started to realize what was really going on and what was really inside of me. And when it became clear is when I started to practice and study yoga. Okay, so anybody that's watching that doesn't know what breath works are, can you explain? I know what they are, but I always think sometimes we get into that little insider club that we know what something is, and somebody maybe watching for the first time doesn't. So can you explain that to everybody that's watching? Yes, the breath is a powerful way to move energy. It really is. And in yoga, breath is also prana. And prana is also like the life force energy. So the thing is, what I really learned is my Christian terminology and the yoga, bringing the two together. Yes. So for my understanding, what prana means is the Holy Spirit. So now I understand when the Christians talk about the Holy Spirit is prana. So it's flooding through our body. The Holy Spirit is the director. So once I realized that it's actually within me, that first time I remember I was 33 years old and I realized my thoughts matter. Really, my thoughts matter. I'm kind of a late bloomer in this. I didn't get born into this family of Rotary.
I don't think anybody's a late bloomer. I think there's sometimes what I call the aha moment that happens, and it changes everything overnight. And that's what it sounds like. Yeah, with the breathing, I always say to people, like, we don't realize how much importance that is to us.
Yeah, we're not breathing deep enough. And once you start bringing in the breath, okay, so once you start really breathing deeper, starting to consciously breathe, and you're starting to do these yoga practices, what you're doing is you're letting light in. So anything that darkness or shadow, your shadow side, it will surface for you to look at. So this is the work when you're doing these breath works, but it's literally loosens everything in your body. It starts to, like in yoga, we use the postures. We use our body as a vehicle to recognize blockages in our body, right? And we use the breath to release them. And once we can breathe clearly, and we've got the channels are all open and we're breathing clearly, we can now hear more from the life force energy. We can hear the messages. We get more intuitive. Yeah.
I sometimes say to people, you don't have to buy a meditation or listen to a meditation. Just listen to your breath going in and out of your body. Just focus your attention onto that. And it's a very calming thing that happens when we actually stop and listen to our breath, because we breathe. It just is an innate thing that we do, so we don't have to think about it. But when we actually stop and concentrate on it, you'd be surprised on the information you can get. So I love that. Thank you.
Yes. And it really calms you down. Just even taking one deep breath and
taking it right down to the gutters, I always say.
Your entire energy. Actually, your breath can actually bring you into a balance. You can have this heart rate and anxiety, and all you have to do is sit with the breath, and then controlling the breath, which is pranayama, where we control the breath in different ways. And it really does shift the energy, and it will change you. And if you're truly doing yoga will transform you. So know that, if you're not feeling any type of transformation, your body will definitely be transformed by the postures. But, you're not really doing yoga if you're going to feel transformation if you do the yoga practices. Yeah.
And of course, going back, just staying on the breathing, this is why when people are having panic attacks, they give them the paper bag to blow into so that they can realize the breath, how much and then to slow it down. And then it just calms the whole body. So, it may seem like a crazy thing to like, why am I breathing into a paper bag? But sometimes I think that is something that we realize we can only put so much air into it. So we need to slow that down so that it doesn't come back to us in a kind of way. So I love that. I love it. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. So stepping into the Mennonite, because I don't know much about the sort of the structure of that, but I do know that things like music, they can listen to it, but they're not to show any appreciation of it. Is that correct? Or
something like that? I mean, they all have a kind of their own little rules. I mean, it is a religion, and you gotta follow their rules, and they're pretty strict. And honestly, a lot of them don't make sense. But they don't allow music because it's too worldly. They don't allow it in the church. Some of the churches. I mean, they do now. In the end, they accept everything. Back in Mexico, they couldn't have round tires. You had to drive a horse and buggy. You couldn't have a car, and now everybody has a car.
I was going to say, I don't quite know how you couldn't have round tires.
They're very, very slow to evolve.
Because on the car, you don't have round tires.
It was my upbringing and my experience, and so I came to Canada. We came to Canada when I was 2 years old, so it was in 1966. I was born in 1964. And I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of what Mexico was like. I just know what Canada was like. I always knew that I was different, though, from the other kids, like even keeping me out of school because we had to farm, and men, we basically put men on a pedestal. And we were there to serve and to be submissive to the men. And this is a big thing. It's we really just put those men on a pedestal, and we were the ones that worked hard. I mean, they worked hard too. Everybody, it was a hard community. They were very honest and all of that, but the women worked really hard and they didn't have a whole lot of rights. So I just learned to get along in this family. I just shut down and I was just quiet. So everybody loved me because I was the quiet one. Now it's changing, so I'm not so sure how it's going to go.
Well, it's similar in some East Indian religions that the male sex is more revered than the female. So they're allowed to do what they want, find their own way, etc. Whereas the female is not so much. And I only learned that when we were living in Abbotsford in BC, because there was a huge East Indian community there. And it seemed like the boys could just go off and do what they wanted to be naughty and not be told off or brought to order on it. Whereas the girls were very much, they had to just, not do anything. And so I wanted to know, I'm one of these people.
Well, if you were the boy in the family, like you wouldn't even have to clean your own room because that was the girl's job, believe it or not. They didn't even have a curfew, and they could have a car at a certain age. And it was just, the restrictions for women was, I don't know. My dad was fearing that we'd get lost in the world and our soul would be lost. And
which is harsh. So
it was
share about, I know I said God and Jesus would be the subject I would love to speak for a whole hour on. So tell me that sort of, because I grew up in a Christian background, Church of England background. And sadly for me, my journey, as anybody that knows me, was I didn't resonate well with religion, as far as it felt like it was telling me I had to do things a certain way. And even as a child, I didn't quite understand that if God is love and God is this and, all this kind of thing. So why can't I do this? Or, so I did find that, especially in the UK, and please, I'm not saying that all Christian religions like this or all religions, but my mum was a single parent. And we're talking about the 1960s. So it was not as acceptable as today. And we used to go to church on Sunday, and sadly she had a horrible experiences with the people in the church who saw her as a fallen woman. So I'm curious of, with the, see, I've always believed that God is within us. And I was very blessed to see Jesus Christ when I was a young teenager traveling on a bus home, even though the experience itself was quite comical. So I've always believed in that, but not in the way that it was taught to me or was given to me in the religion type setting. So would this apply with what you're saying, or in a different way?
I mean, when I decided to finally just not be a part of the Mennonite religion anymore, and we didn't go to the church anymore, and I pulled away, and like I said, maybe my family thought I was going to New Age, and so here I am doing all these breath works because I was taught that there was a God outside of me, and he was going to punish me, and I better be good.
Yeah, that's similar to what I had.
Into my 30s. I mean, that's what we were taught, right? So that's what I believed. So it's just your belief system. So I've had to really let a lot of my belief system go. And as I began to explore a new world, and as I began to do the breath works, so this is controlled breathing, I had my own experience in meditations where Jesus started to come to me. And I wanted to let all of that go. I didn't want I just wanted to leave religion behind. I wanted to be spiritual and go with my own experience, which is what I'm doing now. Spirituality is when you follow your own experiences and your own beliefs. And so I had these experiences with Jesus, and I was wondering, why is this happening to me? Because I was just not wanting any of it.
It's like, I'm done with you. Get out of my life. Come on.
Yes. And so that's to the point when I started with my yoga training, and I started to understand what was going on a little bit more, and the yogis made more sense of it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my mother was not the nicest person, honestly. She wasn't the most nurturing, really. She was very bitter, actually, and she would lie on the couch, actually, and she'd be reading her Bible. She'd be spiritual, but she would be grumpy and miserable. And but she would just always be in the scriptures and always about God and always about God. But even when she died, she didn't even know who God was, because I only had one conversation with my mother my whole life. And that was before she passed away, because my older sisters really raised me. I was number 10 and 16 kids.
Oh my gosh. So that was a big family.
Yeah, you get very lost, you know. Yeah, and you can't speak even one sentence because everybody talks at the same time. Oh you ever see the movie, The Big Fat Greek Family?
Yes, yes.
That's my family. You know, it's a challenge to go when everybody's there together. But I do love my family. I love where I came from.
Yeah.
I had these experiences with Jesus, and it took me deeper into my spirituality. And every time I was struggling with something, I would search in the books of where the yogis would speak. And I've actually got them here because I wanted to share with you how much I had actually become like my mother. I'm sitting here just reading scriptures constantly. These are the two books, Paramahansa Yogananda.
Oh, right, yes, yes.
Becoming of Christ. And he had his own experiences with Jesus. And basically, in these two books, in these two books, he's like translating the message of Jesus to the point where it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, just like I would have these insights, and then I would read and almost get confirmed as I was reading these books of, the coming of Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. And the answers are inside. The kingdom of heaven is within. We are here to bring the kingdom of heaven.
Like you with
the earth.
Church and the Bible. And we had, as kids, we went to Bible reading classes. I think it was my mum's time that she could just go and sit with the other women and have a cup of tea and a cake and not have to worry about children running around kind of thing. So we would go to these Bible classes or the children's classes. And I always felt like I was the person in there that was questioning everything, to the point where, you know, I was either, I don't know, because I wanted to understand it. I truly,
were you?
Young age. Well, I would have been at that time before the age of 10. So, mum always used to go to church on Sunday, small communities, and she was a single mom, and it was really hard to fit in. So I really felt quite, now as time has gone on and understanding what it must have been like for her at that time, being classed as a fallen woman. So she tried to fit in, we went to guides and brownies and the Cubs and Scouts and that kind of thing. So in small communities in the UK, if you stand out, then you definitely are, ostracized kind of thing. So, but I concluded, because I would say, but, there would be something that we would learn, and it was, this or that. And I go, but Jesus loves us. I can't understand this. You're saying, no, this, and this. So I think that I was probably noted as a sort of troublesome child. And especially anyway, by that time I had my imaginary friend, and I would hear these thoughts. Spirit asking me questions, or so I was noted as being a precocious child to start with. So that would have always caused a little bit of a.
And then when you were a teenager, you had that vision of, or
yes, Jesus. I was coming home on the bus, and in England, double decker, and I was sitting there, obviously in my own little world, as I did quite a bit, and happened to look down, and of course I saw Jesus in his robes and, in the atypical church-like vision. And of course, I leapt up. And of course, you've got to understand, you're on a bus. And if somebody did that today on a bus, we would sort of start to back up with concern. And I said, look, Jesus Christ, assuming everybody else could see him. And then realized that nobody could. And I felt sort of a bit embarrassed, and as you do as a young teenager. And soon after that, my mum marched me off to see a psychiatrist. So I pretended I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, for some reason they think you're crazy. But when Paramahansa Yogananda writes, and he says Jesus came to him, and and the thing is, I would have these insights, like my family, they're just looking for the second coming of Christ. They're looking for someone else to come.
Yes.
And then everything is going to be all right. We're going to continue living the way we are, but there's going to be this time when it comes and it's all going to change. And it's within, and Jesus is even teaching it. They're not getting it. And so it's when we all birth the Christ within us. That's the coming of Jesus. That's the coming of Christ. And the yogis they say the same thing. I get confirmation. I get the download, and they tell me what's going on, and then I open a book and I get confirmation. It was always the book the yogis wrote, you know? Yeah. I
love, I had always said, you know, in my 20s that, you know, the Bible was, you know, Jesus had a really good PR agent and wrote the Bible, but it was there to be decoded. So Meredith's just put, and it's quite a long one here, so I'll try and read it. I grew up in the Church of English, and my grandfather was Methodist minister. Whilst you just said, Debbie, what you just said, Debbie, just resonates, exact words that could have come out of my mouth. I was born in 59. I was in 57. So we're only a couple of years apart. My spiritual journey or breakaway from traditional institutionalized church began when 15 years when these bikers came to the school and they called themselves the God Squad. And I began to really question their form of preaching was so different than what life went into dramas unravel if no support, if you're looking for God, the invisible divine. Yes, I feel that we all went on a journey somewhere, and the path of God, Jesus Christ, or whatever, came into our lives through some kind of structured format. And I sometimes wonder if that was just put there to invite us to discover what's beyond it, to decipher it, to be open and see what else comes from it. Because, you know, I've always believed the divine's inside, God's there, the answers are all within us. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes I don't hear, sometimes we don't hear, we're not ready, or we don't want to accept it, or any of those kind of things, but it's there. And, you know, that's when I find when things get very heavy, like they have in the last short while with certain things, and I get to the point where I can't deal with it, as far as I want to say this, but I know I'm not supposed to. So I tend to go within, and that's when I'll do some meditation. In fact, my weekly reading this week, don't want to detract too much, but my weekly reading this week ended up to be a physical channeled message, which I usually have automatic writing from spirit. So for that to happen, they must have really heard me, because I was so angry with them.
Yeah.
I did my little rant and shout and kind of thing. So
there is sometimes times when maybe there's a test or something when you don't hear from spirit for a long time. And one thing that drew me to the Amrit Yoga Institute is they really focused on using yoga as a spiritual practice.
Yes.
So that to create that union with God, to create the transformation.
Yeah.
And in yoga, where living in the kingdom of heaven is just living in a balanced life, just living a balanced life, living in the middle, not staying away from extremes, and just living in this middle path, which is not easy.
So Mia's just put, it sounds like yogis have read some fifth epochal revelations that I've been studying and reading, never tire of, the Urantia book, which was translated.
Well, that sounds very interesting.
Yes, it does. I'm going to have to look that book up now.
Another thing that we are that's part of the yoga teacher training is the Gita, the Living Gita. Now, I've just really studied a lot out of this book. It makes so much sense. And Paramahansa Yogananda says that the New Testament and the Living Gita, they're very similar. They're very similar in their teachings. Yeah. It's actually the teachings of Christ. Yeah. Well. So this spiritual aspect of the yoga really, really fascinates me.
So Mia just said what Devanni said is exactly what these revelations say. So I always believe that all paths lead to Rome. You know, that sort of, or to home, as I always say now.
This is true. And I was told that the Mennonite is a slow way to evolve. And now I don't want people to think that, you know, people usually say, there's all these different kinds of Mennonites. Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know. I just know from my experience. This is just my experience as growing up as a Mennonite, and the teachings that I was taught. And it's just now I just want to bring my life into balance. Yeah. And usually, and the physical body is the first place that we start. And that's why the postures and the breath works and the focus, and we start using our mind to visualize, rather than, like in yoga, they say we're much too tolerant of a busy mind. And this is a big area where I have to work with meditations to quiet my mind, because my physical body, I was fine. I was doing the postures every day, going for walks, eating right. For me, I really needed to work on the mind. And I think there's a point when everybody's life where they're going to have to really work on their mind.
I think with you saying that the yoga has given you some kind of structure to do that. For me, it's like I feel like I'm always in my mind somewhere. Like somebody's telling me something in my mind. I know the little voices in my head, but it's usually from the spirit, because that's where I get a lot of my great ideas, different things that come up, and then I'll write little notes to myself. And then I'll go back and then I'll review it and then I'll reflect upon it. And I think we get these messages, I say to people, we get messages all the time from spirit. And usually if they want us to do something, they'll keep on with that same strain of that message. And if it's not, then you'll get something new or something else to explore. Because it's like, I always say, like a child, if you can't get them to study one way, you'll get them to study another way and then find something that resonates with them. So this may be the case when, sometimes people say, well, I felt I should do this. And then it didn't sort of resonate. And then I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I said, keep your heart open, because something else is going to come through. I can guarantee you that.
And when you're in too much doubt, I think you need to just stop and just not do it. Like I've been there where I just had so much doubt and you just weren't hearing, and you just feel like you need to force your way through. You don't. It takes time, but you will. Yes, you do get to hear from spirit.
I think the sad part about our evolution up to a point is we have to achieve this, or we have to do that, or this is expected of us, or this is what, you are supposed to do as a female or a male, or, a mother, or whatever. So we've got so much of that going on here that it's like, well, why am I not doing this? Why isn't this happening? Why is it taking me so long? And I always say, once the key's in your hand and you unlock it, seriously,
and seeking you shall find. If you start seeking, like you did at a young girl, you're asking these questions. Spirit is knowing that you're interested, so you got to be curious and you got to inquire, and then.
But it always seemed to get me into trouble. Because I would say these precocious things, and then I get shut down, or I get taken to the psychiatrist and could have ended up in a mental institution. Mind you, no, we won't go there. But all those kind of things. So for me, things have gone wrong in my life, as they have in everybody's life. Because some people look at me now and they go, oh, but you're so lucky. This always works out. And I'm like, oh, I could tell you stories that would definitely curl your hair. So don't always assume. No, well, people always see you as you are now. They don't see the journey that you've taken. And there's always been some dark times for me, but I've always trusted in spirit, even if it was, the joke that says, I feel the light at the end of the tunnel is probably the train coming on the tracks and it's going to hit me straight in the whatever. I have to have that faith and keep that even in those dark times. And I think this is where I love the poem Footprints. The time when you felt you were so alone, that was when you were being carried. And I think that is so often, especially at the moment, that people.
And that's what the yogis say. Like you should be listening to spiritual music, playing mantras, so that when there is that gap where you're not hearing from spirit. I know for myself, I listen to the music so often, or different, Primal is one of my favorite to listen to, and I'm driving and I'm listening to it. When I'm going through tough times, I can actually hear it playing in my head because I've listened to it, or different affirmations that you have. So you start to program yourself in your mind. It's almost like you were re-brainwashing ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. I always say it's a bit like doing the la 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 la, when we stick our fingers in the ears when we don't want to hear something and we go la 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 la. Well, that blocks out all the noise. So have a mantra or have something. I have a mantra at the moment of something I know I'm going to achieve. And I say, I know I'm going to achieve it, because I'm not saying, I hope I'll achieve. I know I'm going to achieve it. So if any doubt comes in to do with that, I always just say, I am, or this is, so that I have that as my mantra. And I know, as silly as it may seem, I always put it in that I'm already there, you know, like I'm already healed.
Right.
Or I'm already this, or so it's already there. It's not in the distance.
Living in the present moment and declaring our present moment a certain way, and it's different than what we're seeing. And this is where karma comes in. See, yoga says in the yogis, they say that we're born with karma. In the Christian faith, they say that we're born in sin. So if you understand karma is what you bring in from your past lives, or if you don't believe in past lives, some people just can't get past that. Your ancestors, their issues get put in your tissues, and here you are in this body. So a lot of times there's a lot of layers that you have to go through. There's some suffering, there's some pain, and we use the pain for purification. Because anything that is not felt fully, you have to fully go through an experience in order for it to completely go away, because it will keep coming back in a different form of pain and irritation. And knowing that, yes, karma is actually what the yogis say, the only thing that stops us is the karma. And when we go in meditation, we actually completely dissolve karma. It's just we keep bringing it back. You know, to be able to,
we like to self-flagellate.
Practice. We have to practice it. And then over time, we can do it. Sometimes it's a miracle and it happens really quickly. But so karma is the only thing that's really holding us back. But the only thing is we can change our karma. Once we're aware of it, we can change it. We don't have to go with what our past says and our emotions say. We can learn from them, understand it, and then, again, visualizing and figuring out another way, and that's the direction you go. Now you practice yoga, you're practicing your focus and your concentration. Now you're focusing in this direction. But you have to be in alignment with what your purpose is.
And of course, Chris Lee, my husband, who does past life regression, that's what he says to people, that sometimes we bring the crap from the past life forward, and it's stopping us from achieving what we need to in this life. And when we realize it was only attached to that life, we can let it go. We don't have to drag it forward. It's just like a memory that's been triggered within us for whatever reason, and therefore we don't understand it, and we just keep whirring around on that little hamster wheel. You know, and I always say it's like we tend to self-flagellate. We need to punish ourselves because we feel that it's there and it's something we have to go through. And I'm telling you, pleasure to pain, which one would I choose? And I think most of us would, if we understood that, and the fact that you've really brought it forward there. We can change karma. We're here in this incarnation to respond.
This information is huge to know that we can change it.
We've got opportunities here this time. As I always say to people, every breath we take in is an opportunity to shift or change something within us if we need to do that, or to move forward with something, or move away from something, or whatever it is. So these are the amazing emotions. And that's sometimes what holds us a little stuck in that, because it's like, well, I've got to feel this pain, or I've got to go through this. I'm like, yeah, you can, but go through the other side and let it go. Ignore the garbage.
This is where I'm really going to help people, because it is seeing, like in the beginning stages of the spiritual path, we're looking at all our strengths. And I think once we're going deeper, we all have weaknesses.
Yes.
And so just being aware of them. Yeah, just being aware of them. We're not that. That's the only thing. We're not that. And we're not even the one doing it, And just that realization, just really bringing a more awareness in. Yoga will expand your mind. It is a way to move through things much quicker. We're not denying anymore. We're not blaming anyone anymore. You got to take full responsibility for your life.
Yes.
For your health. For what you put into your body, for food and everything. You're totally responsible.
And your thoughts. I like Francesca has just put, we're like computers. We can alter the programming and upgrade. Definitely.
Yes.
And, this is why if we use Microsoft, how many computations have they gone through to get something? So they're always improving and changing. So it doesn't mean that we can't. And there are things that we need to have. And, I always call it, there's a monkey mind. That's our processor. But when it becomes that you can't do this because, or you're not good enough, or all the rest of it. I always say you got to shut that down. You got to move into heart center, and
sometimes it's a little bit of searching, like, where does that behavior come from? Well, this is my mother did this. Well, that doesn't mean you have to take it on.
Yeah. Or
labeling it, or not necessarily labeling it, but just being aware of where it came from will actually help the process of you letting it go.
Yes, definitely.
And certain things, because they do come from past lives, they're more deeply rooted within you. And for me, it was my family.
Yes.
Because I left my whole family, my community, I left my husband, I left everything in search of this yoga path. Yeah. I went out and I lived in yoga communities, and it was very different from what I thought it was going to be, or what I thought it was going to turn out in the end. I did not think I was going to come back to Leamington. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe I was running away. I don't know, but I ended up back here, and I was just following intuition the whole time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to continue. I didn't want to make decisions anymore. I just wanted to live from this inner place and be guided that way.
Yeah. So you're a bit like eat, love, pray. Was it? I can't remember the name.
Everybody tells me eat, pray, love.
Eat, pray, love.
Yes.
That was what I was thinking, because I like walking away.
People tell me I'm her all the time. Yes. When I tell my story, it's, yes, I traveled around different ashrams. I just didn't do it in Europe. Even though I'm European, in this lifetime, I haven't been to Europe.
Maybe not yet.
Not yet. True. That is a goal of mine for sure.
Well, I know from being with you and the fun way that you share things, you're not making it, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. You know, as I always say, all roads lead to home, which they do. It's whichever journey we're going on. And I'm a great believer that sometimes we start on a pathway and we think that is the right pathway. And then all of a sudden there's a turn. And then it's like, well, why did I go all this way down this pathway just for it to turn there? And I always say, because that was part of the experience.
It's the experience, yes.
There's no mistake.
It's a journey.
Yeah, there's no mistakes. You're always exactly where you should be at any given time, in any given moment. And when we embrace that, we take it on board, then we don't have to feel this was a failure, or this, you know, that's the one thing that I hear to people, that was a waste of money, or that was a waste of time, or I feel I failed at something. I'm like, no, you didn't. You didn't fail at anything. You did exactly what you needed to do. And now you're moving into something else. And that's what
it is part of the journey. The thing is, once you start to know and understand that you can change this karma, and you start to focus the direction you want to go, you're going to need a few lessons along the way before you actually get there. And so Spirit sort of sets things up. So we're really doing it. Like, and you want to clean up your life. You want these, I
always say it's a bit like the Wizard of Oz when they get on the yellow brick road. And they're not going to just get straight there. It's going to wind, and there's all these different things that they have to overcome on the route there. But what they didn't realize, and I always look at it as an analogy, is that that whole process was to bring them together to understand more, because I always say it's the journey, not the destination, that gives us all the learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the learning and who we become through it.
Yeah. And the joy, and taking on the joy and the blessings, and, you know, embracing that there are no mistakes. There are just no mistakes. You know, even if I screw something up or I don't do the way it's supposed to, it was meant to happen that way.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to think that way sometimes, but yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Make the
lemonade happening for a reason.
What was it? Sometimes, you know, some people say, well, make lemonade. You know, you got lemons, make lemonade. I was like, screw the lemonade. I'm going to make lemon meringue pie.
So then
we can take it and create it. And that's what I love about life, especially at the moment. You were saying that the where you're at the moment, since all this, and I call it the situation, I won't give it power to its name, but the situation, that's what I call it at the moment, has given us these new opportunities. And whether we're kicking and screaming or going with ease and grace, It's okay. It doesn't really matter. There's been some situations or sometimes when I've gone kicking and screaming, and then others I've just eased into it. But as I was saying to you before we started, last year we decided not to tour this year, and we thought we would just have a year off, take some time, and obviously Spirit were out there knowing exactly what was coming down, what was happening, and just going, yeah, that's a good decision. And like you, I was told, get more of your stuff online. And although I'm a little bit slow with that, it is happening. And not necessarily with Ease and Grace. I think it's more of me, I want to do it right, whereas somebody said just do it right now.
Yeah, actually, some of my training, it was like, instead of being perfect, just get it done.
Yeah.
If you are a perfectionist, you're going to stop yourself. That's going to be something that's going to stop you. Yeah. And the thing is, we're talking about the the isolation that we had right after, I was telling you earlier, the coronavirus, when that came out and we were all in our homes, I knew right away, I'm going online. And I felt this fulfillment and joy about doing it.
Yes.
And this is what I always wanted to do. So I wanted to reach more people. And so to do it online. And now it's just been given the opportunity.
Which is lovely.
The opportunity's there, and we're all isolated. The world's going through a dark night of the soul. I mean, I've done my dark night of the soul. I'm hoping I don't have to do too much more of that.
Francesca says, beautiful discussion, ladies. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. And Mira said, find group. Urantia Plus. There's quite a few groups now. I'm in this one. Your lots of quotes to ponder. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Mir. So if anybody has any questions, please put them on the board now, because we're coming up to 10 to 1. And it's funny because Devanni and I were talking beforehand. She said, an hour. I don't know. Like, we could continue this conversation, I'm quite sure, because I think we've just touched the surface here.
We just barely touched it. And the thing is, I never, like, if we go over, that's big for me, because I'm usually the one that summarizes it. And I think one of my lessons in life is to bring in more detail.
Yes. And I think that's it. So if anybody has any questions, do put them on the message board there, because I can put them up to Devanni. So if you've got anything else you want to share, as I said to you, if we go over the hour, it doesn't bother me. So it was more of, if I say to people, we can be on here for up to an hour and a half, they go into panic and like, I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But I think when we open up that conversation, as I said, I try to do it organically so that we can just have this chat as if we're sitting there with our cup of tea, just as my grandma would say, chewing the fat and just having a conversation about whatever comes up. So is there anything else you wanted to share while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions?
Oh, I don't really know. It's just freedom through yoga practices. I know that I gained my freedom and empowerment through these practices, and it's a practice, and it's through yoga postures, through a meditation. I teach a yoga nidra. I believe this is my niche. I just love putting people in an altered state, and I think this is what this guided meditation does. When I go into yoga nidra, I can lift out of my body, and it feels as though there's beings turning me, not every single time, but almost every single time I go into meditation. It's so healing. And the more you do it, the easier it is to get there. And meditation itself is not an easy thing, just to sit there with no thoughts. That's why a guided meditation, it just makes meditation so much easier.
Yeah, so Deanna King has just put, Devanni, I'll hold you accountable on the details, LOL.
This is my best friend, Deanna King, one of my best friends. She's awesome. She's also a reader. She does amazing readers. She is my biggest support. I love her so much. I love all my friends so much. I have had such huge support, especially over the last year and a half. It's like God sent me some new people. And Melissa McCormick is, again, another one of these. Without her, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. Yeah. She does amazing work. If anybody wants to write a book or anything to do with writing, she is such a huge help. You wouldn't believe what she can do for you.
Look at that, Deanna. You can make a comment and you get a pitch. I love it. So, this is the part where I say to you, before we say goodbye, is there anything, first of all, how can we get your book?
Okay, so I do have a website now, and it's devanniyoga.com.
And you're going to post that on
devanniyoga.com, and you can also go on my Facebook page, which will have the link as well. But if you go on devanniyoga.com, a link will come out that will take you to a pre-order, because the book is coming out December of this year. We will have it published, and it should be in your home. And there's real benefits to pre-ordering, because you're getting a really good price. You're getting free shipping or delivery, depending on if I deliver it to you.
My gosh, you get to deliver.
Copy. I'm telling, this book is fantastic. I didn't even touch the surface to what's going to be in this book. And it's still in the process of editing, and there's still a lot of work to do, but it's definitely, I've gotten Melissa McCormick is also, she owns the publishing company, The Queen's Daughter, and she is going to be my editor and my publisher. She's taking me through the whole thing. This wonderful? Girl has helped me so much. I can't explain it enough.
That's beautiful.
And so I'm also working with some coaches with the Grow Yoga business, and I had a private Facebook group. Maybe a lot of you were a part of that private Facebook group. And I'm opening it up again with a whole new way. Before, I was just focusing more on Ayurveda and natural medicine, even though I incorporate that in my life. It's a lot more diverse than that now. And I'm calling out for women. So women in midlife. And yoga for inner peace and balance. And so we're going to be sharing a lot, all three, body, mind, and spirit. A lot to do with the mind, with meditations and how to control your mind. Because if you don't know how to control your mind, you're in trouble.
Yep.
And the postures. I teach an amazing gentle yoga class that absolutely everybody can do. And I have that live every Monday. So I've got that. And then I've got this group. So if you go to my private Facebook group and also my business Facebook group, you'll get information on how to join that group. And so please go on the website to order your copy of the book, though.
And what I'm going to ask you to do, Devanni, after we finish, because when this gets posted up, there'll be a link to your private Facebook page where people can contact you if they have any questions on the book and so forth, or find out your website. But I would also invite you to put on one of the streams below all the details of like how they can get the book and all that kind of thing, so that people will find it there and they can just click on the link and take them off on that journey. I'm one of those, give me the link. Yes, and I really appreciate your support. You don't know how I've gone through for all of this to happen. And all you women who said, oh my God, you should write a book. Well, I wrote a book. Now be supportive.
Please read it. It's really good.
Yeah. So you're offering these classes. You've got the book. Anything else that?
Yeah, I'm also on Wednesdays. We still have a couple spots left for yoga at the park. So we're at Seacliff Park for another 4 weeks until we can get into the studios. And so I'm doing a lot right now, but you'll really be seeing me online. And
I'll just let everybody know that's watching from around the world, that's in Windsor, Ontario, because some people go, oh, where's the park? So that's Windsor, Ontario.
No, it's actually Leamington. Seacliff Park in Leamington, Ontario.
Oh, it's in Leamington. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize it was in Leamington.
But know that I do have live classes, and if you've never done yoga before, I get a lot of people I'm their first time teacher. It's very easy to follow. I've heard my voices. I know that in yoga, I was told that my voice is my vehicle. And so I started working on my voice about 8 years ago. And I think I'm just starting to really open up, and I'm just so happy to be here, sharing my story, teaching yoga. I really am living my dream.
I love it. Yeah. So, and yes, that's what we forget. This is our powerhouse here, our third chakra.
Yes.
It's our powerhouse.
For yourself. Yes.
And so if anybody out there is having, when they start to speak about something, if you're clearing your throat, or you can't find your voice, no, you've got a blockage in here and you need to get it sorted.
Because when you have this kind of voice where you're just coming from here, you need to go deeper.
Yeah, you've got to get it out. You've got to get it out. So.
And you know what? For me, it was very, very, very hard for me to come out and really speak my truth. As a matter of fact, when it first came out, and your family is usually your good practice, it came out with anger. I was so angry. I had to deal with so much anger when it first came out.
It's funny, isn't it? When we go into anger, we can get loud. Which is a shame, because then it comes out and then all the other stuff comes out with it.
And then all this fear comes along with it. So it's a process. But you know what? Speak your truth. Even if it has to come out in an angry way to start. Yeah. We can soften as we go. We're all beautiful human beings. We're just trying to all find the light.
I'm constantly saying to people, we're in the I am process now, and that's not being selfish. We need to do this for ourselves. This is our journey. This is what we're here for. And when we step into that vibration of it, the energy of it, we start to go, oh my gosh, this feels so good. So, I always say to people, just go around saying, I am, and then say your name, and I am beautiful. And if you can't do it out to people, then do it to a mirror. Get practicing with it.
Yes,
it's really good. Create your own I ams and do it, okay?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I would like to share that my weekly reading for this week is very different than I've done before. Seems Spirit wanted to utilize that time to share through me a message, peace always. It's on my website, it's on Facebook, so I hope you can embrace it. I have to say that when it occurred, because I had basically been shouting to Spirit that we all needed some direction, and it came out as a channeled trance message. But as I say, Spirit, sometimes I need to be sassy with Spirit when I need to, and that's all for the greater good. So also, there's just 11 more days left to buy the magical, of course, magical number 11 more days left to buy the Vibrational Earth Children deck for just $15 on my website, online from me, and that's under Vibrational.
And I think your screen just froze, Debbie, but maybe I can keep talking. I'm not sure. So I'm so very happy to be here and to be sharing. And I think her internet just froze on her, and I'm not sure exactly what to do here. But what I will do in the chat, I'm going to leave my email or my website where you can order the book.
-energy.com. Just click. Upcoming guest on Monday, Facebook Lives, where we raise the vibration and share the positive, where we'll be going into the 4th and 5th vibrations, intuition, spirit, soul, etc. On August 3rd, which is the evening of the full meditation, there's many readings with my Keatley and Kim Butler will be joining us for that evening, for that at noon. Noon on the 10th of August, I will have the incredible Chris Gurniak coming back to share her flute, and the topic will be the music within, which I think is so apt. So I love doing these Facebook live sessions. They are gaining momentum, and I've had so many joyous vibrational guests on, so I really love it. It's about having a conversation about something to lift our vibrational frequency. So I really want to thank Devanni and for being here, for sharing, and to wish all of you an inspirational week, embracing you and raising the positive. So blessings, everybody.
Blessings. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for what you do, Debbie. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.